We're not live.
We're live.
No.
Tiffany just said. Tiff, are we live?
Yeah.
Ooh, huh?
We made it.
Bad again.
All right.
Is it working?
No, it was back somehow.
I think we're live. Come.
No, I don't see it here.
No, it replayed the last 30-second clip from the last time we tried.
Oh.
So close your app and restart it.
Let's try it.
Hey,
No. It's
dirty.
No, creo que
Baby,
sí.
I got your money, don't you worry.
Okay, we are live. We are live.
Said hey.
Okay, wonderful,
Oh, no.
wonderful. We are live.
Are we live?
We apologize for the.
Oh, man.
This was hard. This was.
Holy cow. Sorry, guys. This has been an event.
What
Wow.
happened is we were trying to go live and it was vertical and we wanted it in horizontal and there was no way to change it. So it happened. So we're here.
This is the best ever. At least we're laughing. At least we are laughing.
Welcome. Welcome.
All right. Gonna pull up the questions. So, welcome, guys. Welcome to. I hope Brandon's crew is watching this. I hope they got to listen to you sing Old Dirty for a minute.
Oh, boy.
So, anyways, guys, welcome into the live. We appreciate you guys being here. We did put out a video yesterday asking 4 questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up those questions now. We're gonna get through those and then we will hit the live questions that we have today. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. We have some hilarity there trying to get this sorted out. So that is why we are late. And let me pull up these questions here and we will get started. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If one of you guys can pull up, yeah, you got the chat there. Awesome. All right, a few live streams ago, you said in your introduction that among the topics you would talk about Noboa turning to the U.S., so the growing influence of U.S. on Ecuador. However, you spent a lot of time on the crazy ninja guy and failed to talk about it. Is it true that Noboa agreed to involve Ecuador in the Ukraine quagmire by sending military equipment? Is Ecuador in debt and will need to kowtow to the U.S. military complex? If so, your currently nice police might become trained to become goons of the U.S. Please, blah blah. So, great question. In fact, I think we covered a little bit of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so guys, originally Noboa agreed to send, I don't know, a certain amount of Russian tanks from Ecuador to the U.S. in exchange for like $200 million worth of, state-of-the-art tanks. Subsequently, that has changed, so that's no longer happening. The Ecuadorian government said they are no longer doing that. So if that's what you're referring to on sending aid to Ukraine through the U.S., that is no longer happening. In regard to debt, the biggest debtor for Ecuador is really China. I think Ecuador took about $18 billion in loans from China years and years ago, quite a few years ago actually. They did take a $150 million loan from the United States in like 2021 for like women-owned business reform in Ecuador. But beyond that, they have, if you look at the World Economic or the IMF loans, Ecuador is way down the list on IMF loans. Let me see. I pulled up the data there, but Ecuador was very small on the IMF loan front, and they also haven't even drawn all the loan that they have available to them through the IMF. There were countries that had 8-10-fold the amount of debt with the IMF in Latin America, including Mexico, Peru, some other places. Let me see. I should have.
Well, while you look for that, I'll just give a little color on some of the history. So, I mean, the way I view some of this stuff, and obviously a lot of this is opinion. Most countries in the world that are not superpowers basically have a choice to kind of align with China and that bloc, or the U.S. and that bloc. And Ecuador has swung in a few different directions over the last 15 years. So Ecuador used to have a U.S. military base in Manta, when they created the new constitution, somewhere right around 2000, probably in 2006. They outlawed, or they made unconstitutional, as I understand it, foreign military bases in the country. So they got rid of the U.S. base that was in Manta. Then under Correa's presidency, they took loans from China, like you mentioned, and there seemed to be a pivot away from the U.S. Bloc towards the Chinese bloc. Had good trade deals with China as well during Correa's presidency, and then a pivot back towards the U.S. under Lasso, which included the U.S. actually lending Ecuador money in order to repay Chinese loans. So there was like high interest Chinese loans that the U.S. gave Ecuador lower interest loans to repay. And then currently Noboa ideologically, verbally, certainly is more aligned with the U.S. bloc than the Chinese bloc. So that's kind of how it's been. Now what we don't see here is a lot of difference necessarily in what that means for the country in day-to-day lives, right? These are sort of who they're borrowing money from, and therefore maybe who some of their natural resources are going to. But beyond that, there's not been a large noticeable, change between who people are aligned with. Okay, los micrófonos, Fernando, están mal.
They're not working?
Not really.
How's the audio, guys? Is the audio no good? Can you hear us? Yes, yes. Can you hear us now, guys? Can you confirm the audio is okay? Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yeah, let us know, guys, about the audio. Okay, looks like it's okay now. Great. Sorry, did you find we were...
Yeah. So the IMF loans in Latin America, Mexico leads the charge. They're over 550 billion in loans from the IMF. Again, they haven't drawn on most of it. Next is Argentina with about 150 billion, and they drew down more than half of that, about 75% of that loan. Colombia is next, then Brazil, Chile, Peru, and then it's Ecuador. So in all of that Latin America, Ecuador is got, looks like less than 20 billion from IMF. So they're barely a blip on the chart of IMF, involvement in Latin America. So for what that's the data that's out there. But that leads to a bigger conversation. We kind of touch on this on the pod that's coming out tomorrow. But the U.S. involvement in foreign countries and countries that are on the U.S. dollar, and what that means, and if the dollar collapses or if the dollar continues to devalue or be debased, what impacts does that have on Ecuador? And we spend a lot of time on that in the episode tomorrow, so definitely check that out if that concept's interesting to you. But do we want to touch on some of that now, or do we want to just keep going through the questions and wait until the end and see if we have time we can hit that again?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
And we do talk about that quite a bit on the pod, so yeah, tune in for that. Tomorrow will be released. This is funny. There are a pile of hippie types, yet I haven't run across the smell of weed once. How is this possible? So I assume, and let us know again, guys, on the audio. We just changed some settings, so hopefully it's good now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People smoke weed in this town.
Yeah, it's all edibles. No.
right. But yeah, I mean, like the hippie. There's certainly plenty of hippies in Vilcabamba for sure, but the hippies here are kind of, I don't know. They're not like the hippies that I was used to in the States in terms of their belief systems and just kind of the type of people they are. Yeah, it's just like it's a very conscious community, and there's all types here. People are into all kinds of different things. But I wouldn't say it's sort of like, kind of bum weed smoker types very much. It's more, people that, choose to dress however they choose to dress. But I don't know. They're just, most of them are awesome people. It's not like.
And most of the folks that I know here that fit the description of of who was that? John Mark? Is that John Mark's comment, the hippie types?
John
No,
Mack.
we're still on the last. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. John Mack. Yep.
John Mack, yeah.
Who's on the live here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With us.
Hey, John. Those folks, they tend to, again, generalization, but they're not like the potheads I know from the States. The folks here really genuinely, authentically believe that this is medicine for them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they believe it's not like, it's much less of a recreation. I mean, it is recreation, but they look at it as medicine, not recreation in general, I would say.
Have you all got the Ecuadorian passport after many years living there? What is the process to be a resident? I don't think any of us have actually applied for citizenship here. We're all residents, of course.
Our children are Ecuadorian citizens.
Right. Any
Yeah.
children that were born here
Yeah.
or have an Ecuadorian parent can be a citizen automatically. You and I could apply now for citizenship if we want to. I have actually started that process once and then didn't finish it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can apply after 3 years of residency. I don't believe that's changed since last time I looked at it. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we're going to be starting soon. We just finished our temporary visa. We're applying for the 10-year permanent visa in this summer, and then I think a year, or I think it's less than that actually, that you can start the formal process for the citizenship, second passport, etc.
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought that in a way it's kind of nice to be a permanent resident here because you have the same rights as Ecuadorians, but you don't have nearly as much, like the Ecuadorian government doesn't have as much grip on you. For example, Ecuadorians it's mandatory to vote. They don't vote, they get a fine. Us as permanent residents, we're allowed to vote, but we don't get fined if we don't vote. As an example, if there was a war, of some kind, Ecuador could ask all of its citizens could draft them. So us as residents, we have the same rights, but we don't necessarily have all the same constraints.
Say hi.
So I think it's beneficial to just be a resident, but at the same time, someone had mentioned to me, like, if somehow a dictatorial government comes in and decides to kick out the foreigners, if you're an Ecuadorian citizen, you have more rights than if you're just a resident. So there could be a benefit in having citizenship in Ecuador.
Yep.
In the case,
And it's actually
government.
it's actually not a super weak passport. Like, there's a ton of countries you can travel to visa-free from Ecuador, including quite a few that you can't travel from visa-free from the U.S. So it is a useful passport. It's actually not a
for a lot of South American countries as well.
Yeah.
Like they have the Mercosur agreement where all the South American countries can travel to, cross each other's borders without a visa, basically. An example of that is Bolivia. American citizens in Bolivia have to pay a pretty hefty visa to be able to get in. And actually, as Canadians, we didn't have to pay for it. But I know U.S. citizens had to pay like $150 or $200 to get into Bolivia.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think you're right, Josh. I think Russia is also open to
that's one of them.
Ecuador versus where the U.S. it's not.
Yeah,
visa
cool.
free.
So Danville asks about long-term care, assisted living, in-home care aids to take care of folks that are disabled or need assistance, etc. Yeah, we've actually covered this once before, but they do exist in Ecuador, certainly. It's not something that is common here to have retirement homes and things of that nature. They do exist, certainly in the large cities. You'll find them. We do have one here in Vilcabamba, very small. It's a government-owned facility. There may be one in Loja, although I don't know of it. The culture here takes care of the elderly, right? It's a very familial culture. It's not a culture that sends their parents to live in assisted living or in a retirement home. However, in-home care is very easy and very common. So it would be very easy, especially on a foreign income, even a very modest foreign income, to pay somebody even full-time or even to live with you and take care of you, in your elderly years or if you're disabled. And that's, people here are kind of naturally caregivers. So that's
That's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
We have a mascot here too, guys. This is my immigrant cat, Mercury. She came with us from the U.S. She just had her 17th birthday,
Wow.
and she loves Ecuador. She loves climbing over.
Was it a good party?
It was a great party, man. Lots of catnip. I mean, catnip for hours at 3 in the morning.
All right, John says, went for a long walk along the river past the campsite and got mauled by bugs. Any suggestions for a bug repellent that doesn't contain DEET? Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much every like little natural store around town, which there's a million of, sell a natural bug repellent. So there's tons of them for sale that you can buy. There's also, like, I don't wear bug spray ever at all, zero. I doubt you guys do either, although correct me if I'm wrong. There's some weird phenomenon here where you get torn up by bugs. Now, you went through this pretty dramatically. I remember, and I did too, but there's some weird phenomenon where you just get torn up by bugs at the beginning, and then you just don't anymore. They just stop bothering you. So I don't know. I can't explain that. I don't know what that is.
It was a few months.
Yeah.
It was a few months where like the backs of my calves just got destroyed by these no-see-um, where it was almost like scabby, like turned into scabs, like you couldn't scratch them. And that was a nuisance for the first couple months. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And my son is really reactive to bug bites, so he got a little more of a reaction. But my wife and my daughter, they didn't have the same type of experience. It was the two of us, so depends maybe on your. I've heard people tell me it's your blood type, it's the, like I don't know, diet. But I mean, like for us, it was like we all kind of eat the same things,
Sure.
so something else different. But yeah, but that went away, and now it's been I've not used bug spray a single time here.
You can tell
In almost 3 years.
kind of the tourists by
their legs.
The legs.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, and your body probably reacts more to it also when you first come here. It seems like they might still bite you a little bit, but you don't react to it. And
It sounds like, John, that's exactly what happened to you. So are you new to Vilca, John? Are you new to Ecuador, just recently arrived?
So, next question. What are your top 10 restaurants? So I don't know if we can do a top 10, but we can definitely name some of our favorites. Vilca Brunch is on that list, high on that list. Maya's, I don't remember what it's called, Korean Kitchen or something.
Maya's
Well, just talk about Vilca Brunch they have traditional Ecuadorian fare. They have some American style breakfast. They have quesadillas. What else do they have? Chicken fingers. They got burgers and stuff, but their specialty is the Thai food. And we recently did, a team lunch to Vilca Brunch. So definitely check out that episode. But they do a really good job with authentic Thai dishes that are very good. Curries and
Maya's Kitchen, you mentioned.
Maya's
Korean
Kitchen.
restaurant.
we just hit that today.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The UFO, I think, is one of my
UFO is
top
very
10
good.
for sure.
Yeah.
Turkish, Middle Eastern, delicious. all sorts
Mediterranean.
of good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a good one.
Mexibamba is really good.
Mexibamba.
Chalalos is really good.
Chalalos?
I'm not sorry. Well, Mexibamba is good. Mexibamba is good.
Right.
I
El
did mean to say El
Mexicano.
Mexicano.
El Mexicano.
El Mexicano is really good.
They have a lengua taco. If you eat meat, oof.
Yeah, their steak is really good too.
Yeah.
The Italian, the Taiwanese noodles. It's probably my top 3. I'm gonna offend everybody now in Vilcabamba, but probably my top 3 are probably the 3 Asian restaurants:
they're
Vilca
good.
Brunch, Maya's, and the Taiwanese noodles.
The Taiwanese
dumplings.
the noodles and dumpling place. That's all vegetarian and then mostly vegan, I think. But the flavors are really well done. The flavors are really good.
Mama Silvia.
Mama Silvia's
Yeah,
is
it's
awesome.
very good, yeah.
Mama Silvia's for Italian. Franco does a great job there with the food there.
The Indian food is good. There's an Indian restaurant that's good as well. There's a lot. There's a lot.
I
of
mean,
good
we could go.
Chalalos is
I don't
really
think
good.
I could do a top 10.
Yeah.
I don't think I could pick.
There's more than 10 good restaurants.
Way
The
more.
encebollado at that new
Ooh,
place
yeah,
on the
nice.
corner is really good.
Pele's chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, if you're looking for like very affordable sort of like meals, you can get a full meal for like $2.50, $3 at Restaurante Vilcabamba. You could also go to the Natural Yogurt restaurant, which is very popular as well, and then the encebollado on the, what's it called, that new restaurant? Lion's Corner.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like Lions and Pele's chicken. They kind of share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Vilcabamba restaurant for El Muerto and La Terraza for El Muerto, and
And also
those are
Terraza, yeah, that's good.
inexpensive. Those are like $250 to $350 full
Lunches.
meal lunches with a drink.
Or meriendas, which is dinner. So yeah, absolutely. And there's the pan de yuca and that.
Ooh, that's
nice.
good.
That place
Healthy
is
and
great.
tasty.
Healthy and
Healthy
tasty.
and tasty.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of good food in this town. No pho, that is true. They never have pho, so I don't know why. Any schools to learn Spanish in Vilcabamba? Schools, I'm not sure there's schools. There's a ton of people who give Spanish lessons. So there's one lady in particular, Adriana, that a lot of people use, and there's quite a few others as well. There's also groups that get together and learn Spanish in a group. I don't know that it's a class as much as it's sort of conversational, learning Spanish together. There's probably other stuff I don't know about, but
Yeah. My family went to Adriana in town, and she does a really structured, formal. You learn the grammar, you learn the tense. She does a really good job for a newbie for sure.
Closest swimming holes. I mean, there's a ton. There's not there in this region. There's not deep rivers that you can actually, really swim in a river that's deep. There is in the Amazonian region, which is close. Like you go to Zamora and swim all day. You go down south and swim as well.
Like Polanda.
Yeah, like those areas exactly.
Might be even too strong in some of
In
those
some of
rivers.
them, yeah.
There was for
Raging
sure.
rivers, yeah.
Yeah, but I've swam in Zumba, nice, and I've swam in Zamora, really, in rivers. That's awesome. But here the rivers are more shallow. So there's places where there's like a little space that's deep that people get in, and I go all the time. It's amazing.
Like if you're from the United States, like they call rivers in this region what we would call creeks.
Yeah, like a creek. Yeah.
Like a deep creek.
Yeah.
They're not really what you would think of as a full-blown river from the Midwest or something. So.
But there's spots where
There are
you can
definitely
get
spots.
in and get fully submerged.
And you could swim in place,
Yeah. Against the current,
against
which
the
is
current,
kind of fun.
right.
Yeah.
The difference here with the rivers, though, the rivers here are all extremely cold. Like they're very cold.
Yeah.
Like very cold. Like the deeper the river, the colder it seems. Like when it obviously. I
Yeah.
guess.
The one that runs through Kinara
I don't know if I've been to that one.
definitely warmer than the others. It's still
Really?
cold, but.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a great spot by the zoo where you
Yeah.
can swim, just
Yeah.
up from the zoo. There's Piedra Grande in San Pedro, which is a 7 minute drive, let's say, from Vilcabamba. There's places all over.
Yeah, right around Rumi Wilco, there's a couple good spots as well where you can, get immersed in water, submerge.
Well, and people also, you'll find like there's all different rivers all around. So you'll find your favorite spots, but they're all close. They're all very
Capamaco
close.
is a really good spot
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. They all have a little bit of a different feel too. Like,
They're all but like you can literally be at a nice swimming hole in a 5-minute walk from town.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Best food deals. I'll start. Poppy Burger $1, hamburger, real burger. Yeah, Poppy Burger. I don't know if I've eaten that. Where is that? You guys know that one?
Is that over by the
Papi
Indian
Pollo?
place?
Poppy.
Across?
Yeah, I think it's the name of a restaurant. He's saying Poppy Burger.
Right.
I feel like I've seen that. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure where that is.
Loja maybe.
But
that's
yeah, you can
Bilka.
get.
Bilka?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get. Listen, the food in this country is very inexpensive, so you can get all that. All right. Oops. Next question. How long did Mike Adams live in Vilcabamba, and have any of you met him? Any stories? Why did he leave? So Mike left. You might have been here when he was still here.
He left like right before I arrived.
Okay,
I think
so he
maybe
left,
a couple
yeah.
months before. So.
Okay.
And you've been here for 13 years?
12 will be
12
13 in
13.
August, but
Yeah.
yeah. He left in 2011 sometimes. I got here in August of 2011.
Yeah. Yeah, he had left 2 years before I got here, so I didn't meet him. He was out in San Joaquin, which is a gated community.
I lived for a while in his house.
Okay.
The house that he sold to Matt Marner at some point, but lived in Mike Adams' house. For a while.
So do we know why he left? Is there like a story on why he left? or-
There is a
I have
story.
no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I don't know the details. I don't want to butcher it. I know he has this. If you look up Vilcabamba, I don't know if anymore. It might not be in the top search, but he did this article about like the dark side of Vilcabamba or something, and he talks about why he left. I think he had some kind of problems with people, like maybe threats of some kind, because he was involved in some businesses of some kind. But I'm not sure about any of the details. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Roughly what demographic do
wait. Oh, no. I'm
expats
sorry.
fit into? Mostly retirees over 60. Is there a good number of single expats in the area in the 30s to 50s range? I would say at this point, it's really pretty evenly dispersed. When I first got here, and for all the first years, it was much more retirees than other groups. Then it was like families arrived, people like yourself, right? Like a lot of awesome families arrived. And a lot of singles too. Like there's a lot of young people here as well that are in their 20s and 30s. and 40s and that are single. Also, I would say, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd say it's about mixed. I would keep it in perspective though, guys. Like Vilcabamba
tiny, yeah.
is a small place, so the expats. I mean, how many expats are even in this entire region? 2,000, maybe 1,500. So when we
Right.
say it's a mix, it's not like there's just singles everywhere, or there's not just like elderly everywhere.
No, I mean,
or retirees
when new
everywhere.
people, it's a small enough town that when new people show up, unless they're sort of recluses, you realize.
Right, you recognize.
kinda
They're
like,
new.
oh, there's a new family. Oh, there's a new
You know
guy.
who wrote this? Joshua. So that's probably a male. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, could you say single women? Because I'm assuming looking for single women between 30 and 50, they might be 50, maybe 100. That would be like
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Something
Probably
like
no more
that.
than that.
And Josh, there's also like a,
Talking about foreign women, of course.
Yeah.
The
Foreign
Ecuadorian
women,
women
right,
are
right,
great.
Right.
Like,
There's plenty of yes.
but there's also an element of Vilcabamba in particular that has backpackers and travelers come through and they'll stay for a couple months and then they'll move through. So you're getting you kind of get a flow of different people over time that are drawn to Vilcabamba for periods of time and then travel and then come back, and so there's and those typically are in the 20 to 40 to 50 year old
and from
range.
all over the world.
From all
Like,
over the
there's people
world,
from
yeah.
everywhere.
From Germany, from Europe, from Russia, from South Africa, from the US, from Canada, you name it.
How juicy is the conspiracy gossip in Vilcabamba? What are your thoughts on flat Earth?
Ooh.
So, I mean, in general, Vilcabamba attracts a very alternative crowd, right? So, mainstream views are actually pretty uncommon here.
That's right.
Like, you're not going to find, there are some for sure. There's some folks that would hold a very mainstream view from back home, but the vast majority do not. There's whether. Now that's sort of where the agreement ends, right? So like there's no consensus, I don't think, about anything in this town. There's all kinds of people with all kinds of ideas and views and religions and belief systems and so on and so forth. It's extremely diverse.
Yeah.
But if there's a common thread in terms of this kind of stuff, most views tend to be not very mainstream.
Josh, there's so many conspiracies in Vilcabamba. Like I dove into the conspiracy, rabbit hole down in the States before I came here. There's stuff that I never even thought about or heard of, knew existed, that you could find out in
That's
Vilcabamba.
very true. Yeah, that's very true.
And the crazy thing is that you'll often find an expert from
Yes.
some other, like from Germany or from some other country that is like, this is their specialty. This is their, they went to school for something and they can explain things in a way like you've never heard from somebody you've never, would never expect to hear it from. So it's like conspiracy theories, but then there's credibility because some of these folks are truly experts in their fields and things that most people from the West would be like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, or that's not scientific, or that's not true. And here it's like, well, there's some weight to it.
Yeah, I mean, good.
Yeah. There's the whole gamut of conspiracies. I mean, I was going to answer the flat Earth. There's definitely plenty of flat Earthers here, believe it or not, and that's just one group. But yeah, the conspiracies here are there's the whole gamut. There's the reptilians. There's the the flat Earth, of course, the hollow Earth. There's just everything, right? Alien stuff.
Holographic Earth.
Holographic Earth. No planes hit the Twin Towers. It literally goes pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sit around and have these
Talk about
conversations
that.
all day,
Do it
you
all day.
could.
Yeah,
If you
I
don't
used to
ever
do
want to
that.
talk about any of it, you could.
Right.
Like, there's like I don't personally like enjoy these conversations, not because I believe in them or don't. I just don't enjoy them.
Yeah.
So it's not something I engage in. But like, if you wanted to, you could sit around and talk about conspiracies in this town endlessly. Like,
Right, with people, and the cool thing is, like, if somebody ever wanted to write a book, you could come to Vilcabamba and you can interview ex-CIA and ex-Special Forces and former astronauts and
Allegedly.
right. Well, and government officials and and you can see and you can find out for yourself which ones are credible or not, and a lot of them are. But you could interview these folks, and if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you could write like a book that would be you could spend 8 hours a day talking to interesting people and not be bored
Yeah.
doing that.
And because the question's about flat Earth, there was actually a flat Earth debate at some point in Vilcabamba where two experts, a flat Earth expert, it was Andy actually, who was representing flat Earth, and some other guy was representing the round Earth model, the globe Earth model. There was this whole debate, and I wasn't there, but apparently there was, it was quite controversial actually. There ended up being a bit of like a
Got people riled up.
yeah, people got riled up at the end. But that's like a small little town in the Andes Mountain where there's actually a flat Earth debate. That's quite something.
Hilarious.
It wouldn't happen. A lot of people come here, never heard about the flat Earth, for example, and hear about it here in Vilcabamba. So, anyways, if you're into flat Earth, might be the place for you here, because there's a lot of mountains, so clearly there's a relief to the flat Earth.
Question number one: How has the recent cartel situation affected tourism? So I haven't looked at numbers countrywide. I'm sure it's affected it. I would imagine.
Yeah.
In our region, I would say not at all. I haven't seen that. I'm sure there's some folks that canceled trips because people would, but I haven't seen any less influx or inflow of people than we normally do.
Yeah. I mean, we have our next Vilcabamba lifestyle retreat in April, and nobody canceled. People messaged and said they had concerns and, had questions, but nobody canceled from that so far. So, I mean, that's one data point.
Yep. What's the rental market like right now since the recent cartel situation? Again, we can only speak to Vilcabamba. It hasn't changed at all. So the rental market has been pretty tight, pretty strong, I'd say for the last 4 years or so, and it remains that way. Nice rentals get snapped up pretty quickly in general. Number 3, will you be having a health and wellness retreat at some point? Absolutely, we will. We are looking for. It's gonna be epic. Like I'm so excited about the health retreat. Dates will be coming. We will let you know.
And dude, the website's finally exciting.
Yep.
We had a lot of fun learning experiences developing this website, but
we've got a lot of great troll questions in the chat. I'm looking forward to getting to.
Yeah. But the health, dude, to talk a little bit about the health retreat, because people that are watching, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to learning about Vilcabamba, there are health experts and healers from all different kinds of modalities from all over the world that call Vilcabamba home. So from world-renowned osteopaths that have, techniques patented in their own name that have taught all around the world, through psychologists and what's the kinesiologists, anything you can think of, any healing modality you can think of. There's somebody near the top of their field that have moved to Vilcabamba and call this place home for lots of other reasons. And then there's also local Ecuadorian healers that rely on traditional medicine and ancestral medicine to help people. So it's really interesting why, I still don't understand why all these people have, from all over the world have chosen to create, to call Vilcabamba home. But there's, like the mountain behind us, Mandango, that the legend has it that the Incan warriors and royalty, when they were in their last hurrah before they were conquered, that they would travel up Mandango for healing because they believed it had special healing powers. So there's other things that are here, energy-wise, vortex, all kinds of stuff.
It's the Velcro or the Vilca trap.
Is that what it is?
Well, actually, what I heard about the Inca stuff is that they actually came to Vilcabamba, to this valley, for healing. So the royalty and the high-level officials and stuff would come to this area for the healing, because of the weather and the energetic stuff, or the healing properties of Vilcabamba.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I won't even add to that. It's awesome. All right. Number 4. How does one find out about authentic shamanic healers in Ecuador? Reach out if you want, info@abecuador.com. We can probably point you in the right direction, at least in this region, for sure. In general, I wouldn't be as I don't really know, but if you want to reach out, we can have that conversation. A hypothetical question. We'd love to see more Ecuadorians than expats to answer this question. If there would be a collapse of the US dollar tomorrow, lasting next 6 months, for things to set new currency, would they survive? Are they prepared? How would they approach this scenario? how it affect their daily life. I think, again, we talked about that pretty in depth on the podcast we recorded Tuesday that's coming out tomorrow. So yeah, check that out. We talk about it extensively. Everything is fairly cheap. What is surprisingly expensive? Great question. Just about anything imported. Just about anything imported is surprisingly expensive. That's come down a lot since when I first got here. What's that?
Yeah, vehicles are much more expensive here because the tariffs, the import taxes. Most technological things like cell phones and computers, but I think that's gone down significantly. Yeah, cell phones are almost the same nowadays in Ecuador.
Gone down a little bit more, but they've gone down a lot. I mean, a lot of these things used to be 200-300% more than back home, and now, might be 10, 20, 30.
Yeah. Things like imported, like brand shoes or brand clothes and stuff are much more expensive here. Like.
I mean, I was looking in the marathon in Loja, and their authentic Nikes weren't. I was just back in the States. They're pretty close to the same prices in the States. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, they're double or something.
Yeah, Lasso got rid of a lot of those taxes.
Maybe 10%, 15% more on some of those shoes. So,
Yep. The most surprising thing to me cost-wise, and this isn't really related to the question exactly, but you go to the market to buy stuff versus going to a place like Super Maxi or a retail store. The price difference is remarkable, the way you would not expect, right? You pay way less for your local organic produce at the market.
Oh yeah.
Versus going to Super Maxi, which where we come from, that would have all the efficiency built in, and it would be cheaper, and it's double, triple, quadruple for a head of chard or something versus.
And it's not as fresh.
Right.
Yeah, typically. What's surprisingly expensive is Welsh grape juice. Have you ever seen that? How much it is here?
Right, imported food.
Like
Imported
Welch's.
food.
Welch's. It's like $10 for like a liter and a half or something, or 2 liters.
Yeah, I mean, a bottle of Tabasco
same.
is 30-40% more.
Guys, I apologize. I actually have to leave. Have some other commitment. My wife is here, so I will let you guys
Just tell them what
this.
you're going to do, man.
I'm going to choir practice.
Yes, Carl can sing, guys. Carl can sing.
All right, guys. Thanks. You guys keep it up.
Corta este micrófono, porfa. Yeah, hermano. Ciao. So let's see. Should I move over here a little bit?
I mean, it doesn't matter. He can change the angle.
He can, but we don't have to maybe cuddle as much.
You don't like touching me?
I mean, I do. But.
Oh, that's pretty.
Okay, so you get fries with nearly everything, but there's no gravy. Not just local. What is going on here? All right, I don't know. I can't.
I mean, the Vilca gravy is like the mayo, mayo ketchup combo mix. Like that's the gravy here, man.
Is Vilcabamba going to be loved to death, as happened to Barcelona? I don't know. I don't know what happened to Barcelona. Don't know that story at all. So I don't really have the reference. According to the WEF, you own nothing, but you will be happy. You own nothing and will be happy.
It will be a cyber pandemic.
That was pretty good. Could the Ecuadorians be selling their properties because they know they might lose it to the government when they implement a new law? Carl's locked in, so Brandon's going to help him out. So sorry, let me reorient myself here. No, I would say in general, Ecuadorians would know nothing about those kinds of ideas, plans, non-governmental organizations, sort of the powers that be in the world in general. That is not a topic here at all. Okay, we are on to the live chat. So, okay, we got the mic issues, so that's all sorted out. Visa free to Russia, that's right. Okay, for Brandon, Macho Man versus Brock Lesnar. Who wins?
Ooh, yeah. Man, I'm old school, man. Although most people think Brock Lesnar is old school, but Macho Man, dude, Macho Man.
When all my friends were watching wrestling, I was not.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever, or some of my friends have ever stopped watching wrestling. DX, baby.
All right, where's the closest? Yeah, we kind of covered that in terms of the swimming. They're very close, right a minute or two from town, right all around. Okay, I study Spanish at Happy Office Place. Excellent. Group classes. Oh, awesome. So yeah, Happy Office is a new business here in town
Oh, jeez.
where they do some different stuff. They help people out with things, and they obviously teach Spanish, so that's great. It's a green screen, right? Right. We get that a lot. Oh, Carl's not here anymore, so I can't give him
We can answer for
the
him.
plátano joke. Carla ha comido sus 50 plátanos hoy.
No sé.
Okay. Our-
Unas dos rácimas tenía ahí en el ref.
Oh, that's great. We're our photographer's cracking. We're cracking up our photographer. Appreciate you answer. Okay, you're very welcome. This is a great question.
Are you skipping those?
No, I'm not. I don't think so. Would my pet guinea pig be nervous in Vilcabamba?
Pet guinea pig, what's his name?
Deathly nervous,
Bart.
I would say.
Bart would be eaten. It
Bart.
says my pet
Oh,
guinea pig, Bart.
Oh, what am I? Bart, right. Bart, yes. Guinea pigs are food here. I'll tell you a funny story about that. I mean, they're not common food. It's like a delicacy, basically, actually. But you know, like I don't think there's no cuy place in Vilcabamba, for example.
Sure, you could go.
Is there?
El Mexicano.
Oh, that's right. They do a cuy there.
You
You're
do a
absolutely
cuy.
right. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
on
yeah.
the menu, man.
Yeah. So there's one. I mean, there's one place in Vilca you get it. It's not, it's not a common thing.
I
but-
guess the only time I would say it's common would be if there's a street fest, if there's an event, if there's a party.
You'll
There's
see.
vendors on the
That's
streets
right.
that'll have them on kebabs.
Yeah.
I'll see that. That's common. But otherwise, I don't see it often.
But yeah, I mean, I had guinea pigs as pets as kids, and I can't do it. I've never even tried it. I can't do it.
Really? I
No,
tried it
I
at
know,
El
yeah.
Mexicano.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it tasted, if anybody's ever had it or not had it, it tasted like a white meat. It was a little chewy, I would say, but it kind of tasted like, it took on the flavor of the sauce, so.
So I'm assuming this is a trolling question. Where do you get a shave in Vilcabamba? But I don't know. There are places if it's a
Carl
serious
just did a
question.
video.
Carl
on
did a video
on
on
a
it.
haircut and a shave for
Shave.
like $5.
That's right. Can you guys sponsor my move to Vilcabamba? I'll work for free. Yeah, you know. Yeah, cranial sacral treatment is amazing. Here is amazing. Yeah, 100%. There's several incredible cranial sacral practitioners in the valley. Choir practice is such a weak cop-out. Right?
Who's calling it? Who's calling him out?
Josh.
Josh, I already love you, man.
Okay, I don't know that you're gonna know this rest. Well, Big Show, I know. Rey Mysterio versus Big Show.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, man, they're both kind of OGs, but I'm gonna go with the Big Show. You know, the Big Show reminds me of my dad. So my dad was a professional wrestler for a very short period of time back in the day before, WCW was a big thing, and he was, because he was, I don't know, 6'5", I don't know, whatever. His name was Johnny Stallion, and he was a bad guy with his partner Pete Golt, and so the Giant reminds me a little bit of my dad. So I'm gonna go with the Big Show, baby.
All right, let's see. What are the chances of finding a motorbike to rent in Vilca when they definitely exist. I think Chino's might rent motorcycles.
Well,
I have a couple for rent.
he might have. I mean,
I'm not sure.
He's got a few electric bikes.
Yeah.
He's got regular bikes that he rents. I think there's that new, that corner motorcycle shop that's right on
Yeah?
the corner.
Do
I
they
think
have
they
them?
might rent.
Yeah, if you want to reach out, we could try to help you out with that. info@abecuador.com. I think there is a way. I don't know the cost. Okay, how long on an average build, a very simple $40,000-ish house? So it depends if you're including the permits and design time or not. You're basically like 6 months of construction time. You can speed that up if if it is very simple and you want to have a large crew and really hit it. You can definitely speed that up. Normally it's about 3 months for design and permitting. So about 9 months, 12 months, 6 to 12 months is kind of the range. We actually have a video coming out, I believe Sunday, with Santiago, a local builder who teams with his wife Marta. They do a great job building here in Vilcabamba, and we cover a lot of that stuff as well on that, coming out Sunday. Do ATMs give only $20 as the smallest bill? Is it better to arrive with smaller bills and coins like quarters, etc.? So the ATMs definitely have $10 bills. and they certainly have $20 bills. You don't really see 50s or 100s spit out of ATMs.
I mean, I've never received. I've been here almost 3 years. I've never gotten a 10 out of an ATM.
No, they have them because I'm pretty sure you can even pull out like multiples of 10.
I've only gotten.
Pretty sure.
I mean, Bank of Aloha is what we use, so that's only ever given me 20s.
But did you ever like ask for $50, for example? Like probably not.
No.
Yeah, I think they exist.
Increment. I mean, it probably exists, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of an issue. Like,
Not at all.
Almost.
It used to be
Yeah,
years ago.
There's a lot of change. There's a lot of small bills here. There's not a lot of singles. They use the dollar coin, so you'll see
Right.
like the Sacagawea coins and some of those. All those dollar coins are here, and then the 50-cent pieces. You'll see a lot of those. You'll see a lot of the John F. Kennedy, which I didn't even know they're still making. I just got one as a 2023 John F. Kennedy 50-cent piece.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So apparently they're still minting those. But you can get $5 and $10 bills here, pretty much any tienda, or taxi driver. Taxi drivers always have change because they're constantly dealing in small fares, at least the local drivers. But it's not really been an issue. Like, I think the perception of it was, like the first time I came, I literally came and I think we got like $500 worth of ones and $1,000 worth of fives, and we brought it in, and I'm like, this is silly.
No,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
need to
not
do
necessary.
any of that. Definitely don't bring coins.
Yeah.
No reason for that at all. $100 bills, there's plenty of places that won't take them, but you also have no problem breaking $100 bills either. So yeah, not a big deal at all. A couple of people are confirming you can get 10s out of Banco de Aloha and out of the ATM. Do they have $2 bills available? Yes, you do see $2 bills here.
They're excited
occasionally.
to see them though. They don't want to give them back.
Right.
They don't want to give them out as change. So often they keep those.
Yep.
I mean, I did that as a kid. If
Yeah,
I got a $2 bill, I'd save it.
Totally. Might be worth $3 now.
I mean, it's probably worth 15 cents in buying power.
Good point.
Although that 15 cents is probably 5x here in Vilcabamba.
That's right.
in buying
That's
power,
right.
so.
Are there street names? How do you direct taxis around? So there are street names in town. Outside of town, no. But people don't use the street. Like I couldn't tell you. I don't know if I can tell you any of the street names in town.
Not a single
People
one.
don't really use them. They do
Juan
exist.
Montalvo. I got one.
That's one.
Boom.
Yeah. Do you know which street it is
Nope.
though? So
It's landmarks here.
it's landmarks.
landmarks,
Yeah.
So landmarks, restaurants, places, colors of houses.
People's names.
The yellow house next to Juan, the taxi driver,
Yep, exactly.
It's kind of that way, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we have made it to the end of this list. So if there's nothing else, we'll probably wrap up here.
Did we miss anything, guys? If you got any questions, now's your chance. If anything we missed, drop them down below. Or if you have a new question before we jump off, I guess we didn't really start on time, but.
No, well, we also, we had to restart the live.
Cost of getting a shipping container to Vilca. Is corruption an issue with customs?
Yeah.
We just discussed this,
Yeah,
didn't
we
we?
were just talking
Over
about
lunch, yeah.
So yeah, I mean the cost varies dramatically by the market at the time. So I've seen people pay anywhere from like 7, 8, 9,000 all the way up to like 20,000+. Typically it seems to be in the low double digits, like 10, 11, 12, 13. It depends where you're shipping from, who you use, what the market rates are at that time. Customs is super corrupt here. For me personally, in my almost 11 years here, it's the most corrupt. It's not a branch of government, but whatever, it's the most aspect of bureaucracy. Here in Ecuador, they routinely hold things up and ask for money and want fines, and it's probably the least pleasurable experience here would be bringing in a shipping container from my perspective. Let's see. Hey guys, my wife and I are planning on flying from Texas to Quito, then Catamayo. They have car rentals in Catamayo Airport. What's the best way to get to Vilcabamba? So they don't have rentals actually at the airport. They certainly have rental companies in Loja. I'm not even sure if they have a rental company in Catamayo. You might have to get to Loja first.
Yeah, I would recommend that anyway. Like I would take the flight. You can either take, I would take get a taxi from Catamayo, or there's private vans you can rent, but depending on how much luggage you have, I guess. Like one of the times we packed, it was me and 2 kids and my wife, and we had, massive luggage, and we're sitting on laps, and the taxi's jammed full of luggage, and It was not the most comfortable. So depending on how much luggage you have, it's probably worth it to just jump in a taxi. There's taxi trucks and yellow taxis at the airport. Or if you know ahead of time and you're looking for help, let us know and we can organize a trusted taxi driver to help you out, Pete. So
yeah, and they'll be out there with the sign if you want that. But like Brandon said, there's both yellow taxis and the taxi pickup trucks, the white taxi pickup trucks. There all the time, so there's no shortage. You can share a taxi if you want, or you can just grab one for yourself. I think these days from the airport to Vilcabamba, I think it's $40.
yeah, it's like 40 or 45. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then once you're here in Vilca or wherever you're staying, if you're going to Loja, we can recommend some car rental services once you're in the area.
Okay, let's see. Can we move to Ecuador with our gun? Yes and no. So you can own guns in Ecuador. The registration process is a bit onerous. However, completely doable. We know lots of people who have done it. They have limits on the amount and the type of bullets you can own. They have restrictions on the amount and type of firearms you can own. So it would be a matter of coming here and going through the process of becoming a registered gun owner and then importing a legally allowable firearm. I believe.
And I think
would be
they
the process.
limit. I think you can only import one.
That part I don't know about personally.
Yeah, I think there's a limit on the amount of firearms you can import as well. You can also purchase firearms here, and the prices of purchasing in Ecuador are significantly higher than you'd find in the States. Both in you're having a limited selection. Even if, let's say, you want a 9mm, you're going to have a limited selection, or you're going to pay significantly more if you wanted like a Glock in Ecuador to buy it here versus buying it in the States and going through the import process. So it's definitely something you should do your homework on if that's something important to you.
Yep.
It's going to cost you a lot more in Ecuador.
Is crypto in use? Oh, sorry, I missed one here. 1 second. Would there be a need to educate people on AI in Vilcabamba? I don't even know how to. I'm not sure if I understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, Spencer.
If you mean like as a job, I doubt you'd find enough demand for something like that. It's just a very small town.
Right.
Maybe in Loja.
Maybe, yeah. And there's an array of digital nomads that come through town, and some folks that are into tech and blockchain that have a fairly good grasp on AI. So it depends on really what you are looking to do with that. As a business, to teach classes as a business or to support a lifestyle, I'm not sure that would work in Vilcabamba. But if you wanted to teach, ad hoc classes to educate people you could probably pull something like that off.
Yeah. And by the way, like that's one of the really cool things about this town. It's almost like a what's that website? I think it's like Skillshare. It's almost like an in-person Skillshare community where, people, there's so many classes. Like people have so many interesting skills and knowledge and expertise, and a lot of them are doing classes of one kind or another, or you can get training for them, or they do workshops. Like there's a lot of cool stuff here.
It's kind of like what we talked about with the health practitioners and all the different healing modalities, but it's all ranges. So a lot of the underlying themes for the reasons why people move to Ecuador is because they want clean food, clean water, clean air. So they're into organic gardening and permaculture and aquaponics and sustainable or regenerative farming. So there are folks here that are not only experts in their field, but they've been actually doing it in practice for decades. And they're doing workshops all the time and learning about soil microbiome. And so you run the gamut from anything homesteading, organic gardening, things like that. You will find that here in spades.
And healing, like you mentioned, all kinds of healing stuff. Excuse me. Okay. Can you? Let's see. I have friends I can stay with for a 1 month stay. Do you? Oh, sorry. Is crypto in use at all in Vilca? It is. There are some stores that will accept crypto, and there's a large crypto community here. Like tons of people are into crypto.
There's an active crypto community, and the wild thing is like there's little tiendas. We're in the Andes Mountains. There's little tiendas in the Andes Mountains that accept Bitcoin and other cryptos for payment. So there's some of that here. Yeah.
I have friends I can stay with for a month stay. Do you have a different rate excluding lodging for your April event? Juliet, reach out please at retreat or retreats, both work, at abecuador.com, retreat at abecuador.com, and we can communicate about that. The short answer is yes. So Ron confirmed $40 from the airport.
Thanks, Ron.
John, can you export vehicles from Ecuador to North America? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Sorry, I don't know.
Foreigners
John.
cannot do the opposite.
No.
Foreigners, even as residents, we can't import cars
No.
outside of Ecuador into Ecuador. I'm not sure about outwater.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can a prepper survive in the hills someplace with just a tent and not be detected or deported? So Ecuador until recently had no such thing as deportation.
Right.
It didn't exist. Noboa has announced recently that they're going to start controlling the borders a little bit more and doing some deportation. Now, I highly doubt that would apply to North Americans.
Right.
We're talking about, probably folks, Latin Americans that he's worried are part of the criminal element in the country.
And he's also referring, at least in the talks that I've heard, he's referring specifically to the land borders.
Yeah.
Not enforcing,
Yeah, but he did mention they will start actually deporting people, which they've never done.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right, because you got some of these thugs that are coming in, joining a gang, and getting caught, then
Getting released.
They're
Yeah.
just getting released. Instead, they're gonna send them back to.
So with people that like overstay their visas and stuff like that, there's no risk of deportation.
No.
They put a fine in the system, so if you ever apply, you're gonna have to pay a fine. That's it. If that changes, it changes. But this is not Ecuador. Ecuador doesn't have an enforcement budget for things the way they do back home. So you don't find, a lot of enforcement for whatever the rules are.
Yeah, and we know people. I mean, I know people. You probably know many more that have been here way longer, without a visa. Years, like decades, and have lived here and live life normally. So whatever that's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would limit your capacity to do certain things. But if you're just gonna live somewhere, no problem.
Right.
Yeah. Any updates on the samurai guy? We saw him in town the other day, so yeah, we talk about that on the pod, I think, as well. But I speak 6 computer languages and 3 human languages. Nice. I'd love to teach AI to benefit people in Ecuador, especially Vilca. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Cool. Where are you from? Saucer tennis. Where are you from? Saucer tennis.
What is the percentage of Ecuadorians, locals, and Lojanos versus expats? So, in Loja, the city, it's 99 point something percent, locals. Not a lot of expats percentage-wise at all. In Loja, the province, same thing. It's really only Vilcabamba and a few, basically Vilcabamba, that there's a decent percentage of expats. People think it's around 10 to 15%. That are expats here. So yeah. Okay. Are there any chiropractors and/or massage professionals in town? Many, and some amazing ones. 100%. Brandon, can you snap into a Slim Jim?
Oh yeah! Snap into a Slim Jim.
¿Están listos para estar avergonzados en el básquet? Imposible, hermano. What are the benefits of dating a nice Ecuadorian lady?
Why don't you tell the people that speak English what that was?
Well, if we want to be embarrassed playing basketball.
Bring it!
I don't know who that is, but
bring it.
So, what are the benefits of dating a nice Ecuadorian lady?
You married one.
I married one, and I also spent a year or so single here. The women here are awesome. They're awesome. It depends, of course, what you're looking for, in a female, in a wife, but or a girlfriend. But they tend to be. I'm just gonna shoot them straight here. There tends to be much less pretense, much less preconceived notions, much less sort of programming. I would put it that way. More traditional.
I would add, again, I didn't date here, but the younger Ecuadorian women I met, they seem more mature than the same age from the States, same age women that I met from the States.
Yeah.
You know, is that, I don't know.
I would very much
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, it's the women here are great. They're friendly. They're nice. They're not, you know, they're not. Yeah, I don't. There's some things I won't say because I'll probably offend people, but they're great. Their women here are just great. Okay, are there? I don't know if we're going there. All right, we're doing it. Are there any chongos nearby?
What's a chongo?
That is a whorehouse.
Oh.
Which is which is like part of the our camera guy is really cracking up now. Are there any which is really part of Ecuadorian culture? Like the whorehouse is part of Ecuadorian culture. It's like a place where people hang out. Like I've been invited double-digit times in my 11 years
So
here.
is that like a strip club in the States where, you know, people, you know, there's
Yeah,
types
like
of men that hang out at strip clubs?
truthfully, I've never stepped foot in one because just where I come from, that's not part of the culture, and so I didn't want to ever do that. But I have talked to people extensively about it, and yeah, guys like go and hang out and like drink beer and hang out, and they can sleep with a woman if they want to.
Sure.
That's kind of what they are. There is one in Malacatos or in San Pedro on the way to Malacatos.
Okay.
Our photo video guy is claiming no knowledge whatsoever. Fernando of the I know. How are age gap relationships viewed there? So yeah, I mean there's just very
You're
little.
like 35 years older than your wife.
I'm like 35 years older. I'm 13 years older than my wife. But yeah, there is no judgment here really of any kind, right? Like this is just a culture that doesn't judge. You know, that's just kind of Ecuadorian culture. Like nobody, like really. I mean, that or anything else.
No,
like,
it's respectful. It's authentic. It's I don't know. It's like it's a beautiful thing.
Yep. What do expats usually do for income, local or remote? Yeah, either you own a business basically, or I'm just talking about Vilcabamba. Basically, you own a business, or you provide a service, or you work remotely. You wouldn't have a job. Right. You're not going to really come here
as an expat.
You're not going to really come here and get a job.
I mean, some of the younger kids, like the teenage age children, they'll work in some of the restaurants as a job or some of the shops as a job. But if you're trying to support a lifestyle or if you're down here as a single person, finding a job is going to be difficult. But, you know, running a boutique business or creating some type of, organic soaps and things like that, you can do. There's markets for that kind of stuff. There's actually markets for a lot of other things that aren't being served here as well. They'll take a little bit of investment, but you could definitely have a lifestyle that way. But otherwise, you're looking to work remotely for the most part. Yeah,
if you're looking just kind of for work. So, all right, I think I do have to wrap. My wife is probably waiting for me to pick her up. All right, ¿quieres venir un ratito?
Let's get Fernando.
¿Quieres venir en la cámara un segundo? Ok. Ya, muy bien. Voy a darte también el micrófono por si acaso. O ya tienes uno. No openings for gigolos then. Here, toma la cámara un segundo. So, yes, I don't know. This is Fernando.
Fernando.
Amazing photo video guy. He does actually everything for us. I should probably get a little closer. He does actually everything for us. He shoots, he edits, he
flies the drone.
So this is the guy right here. We appreciate him immensely.
Yeah.
He's been with us for, multiple years now. Probably, 3, 4, 5 years at this point. So, muchísimas gracias, Fernando, por todo que haces por la compañía, de verdad.
A todos ustedes, esperamos que les guste mucho nuestros videos, lo traduce después. Y estamos trabajando para que puedan venir a conocer el hermoso valle de Vilcabamba.
So, sorry, I missed the first part. I think, dime otra vez más, no estaba poniendo atención en el principio.
Muchas gracias a todos los suscriptores que siempre están apoyando nuestros videos.
Thank you so much for all the subscribers that are helping us on the videos, watching the videos, subscribing to the channel.
Hacemos todo nuestro esfuerzo para que puedan conocer un poco de la vida en Ecuador.
We're giving all of our effort to show life here in Ecuador, that you can know life here a little bit in Ecuador.
Sobre todo este bello rincón llamado el Rincón Mágico de Vilcabamba.
I forget the word for Rincon, but this is a magical part of the country, a magical area, like Vilcabamba specifically.
Eso es todo.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Gracias a ti, Fernando. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, guys. We
Oh, we got
enjoyed it.
Chris. Chris, what's up, Chris? Chris and the fam are down here. Chris was on the retreat.
Yep.
Down here on the
Absolutely.
fam. All right, I think that's it, man.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a
We
great
hope-
weekend.
We hope to see you down here one day.
And until then,
We'll see you next time.
take care, guys.
Ciao, guys.